Hey, what's up guys? So today I'm going to show you how to use Logic Pro X, pretty much the basics. We're not going to get too in-depth. I probably want to do more in-depth, so if you're watching this and you kind of have some more questions, or if you have more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try to make videos based on that if I get a good response. If not, I'll just make videos on what I think you guys should learn if you're producing. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on a screen mode right now. And you can find that through QuickTime. It's pretty cool. You can screenshot your desktop. There probably is 1,000 other ways to do it, but this is the way I do it. Okay, so first things first, we're going to go to Macintosh HD. We're going to go to Applications, wait for it to open. Hopefully you don't hear the sweet sweeper in the background because I got my window open. But we're going to click on Logic Pro X. Okay, so now that Logic Pro is open, you're going to go to File and New. I always start from a new template. I don't really use the templates in Logic Pro. I don't think you should, but just do it like this for now. Okay, so audio, you can pick the number of tracks you have. You can make 1, 4, 5, however many tracks you need. Software instrument, that's going to be your synths. Drummer, that's pretty much the drummer that's inside of Logic Pro, which is actually pretty good. You can use it as a template to maybe just make a song or get the idea out first, and then you can go back and put in your real drum tracks. Let's create. Okay, so I wasn't paying attention and we created drummer. So now let's do drummer. So pretty much this is going to be your, as it says, drum tracks. If you look down here, you can pick different genres: alternative, songwriter, R&B, electronic, hip-hop. It gives you little people or characters. Each one you click on, they all have a different style of music. So if you press play and you look up here, also if you want to loop your tracks, go to here. It's called cycle range. It will loop it to this part and then come back. So as you can hear, it says Concrete Jungle. You can change from a simple track. As you saw here, it took some things off. And yeah, so this is pretty cool. I like to write electronic music, so sometimes I'll pick, like, it doesn't really matter who I pick, and I'll just put it in the simplest one. So pretty much I'll get I just want like a 2/4 or a 4/4 drum, kick. And that's how I'll make a track and then come up with a melody. Then you can come back and do something different. So pretty much that's all I would think you need to do for a drummer. And it looks like it goes from 1 to 9 right here. So I just loop it there. You press spacebar. You can hear the track, try to write to it. Also, first things first, so what I should have mentioned in the beginning. Anytime you're gonna write a track, I think tempo is the most important thing. So make sure right here, you change the tempo to what you want that song to be. Do that before you do anything else. Because when you go back and edit your tracks, let's say you're doing vocals or guitar takes, it's better to have the tempo already done. So when you're looking on the screen and you have your 1, 2, 3, and 4, you want everything to drop perfectly. So like, let's say you start a guitar part and it's gonna hit on 4, you wanna be able to start that guitar part on 4 and not guess because the lines don't mix up. The lines don't match, and your 4 is actually right here in the middle, and then you're just confused. So you always want to have your tempo done first. You can either, if you're doing a cover, you can look up the tempo or the BPM, or just kind of, tap tempo, figure out the tempo. Either way, you can look online to do that as well on your YouTube video. So you'll change it here, scroll up and down, and then your tempo will change. Okay, so that's pretty much the drummer. I know I'm going over the basics, just so you can get started, and then you got to play around with it. So let's go up to track, new tracks. Now we're going to do audio track. So pretty much the audio track is what you're going to do when you record vocals, if you're recording guitar parts into your Logic Pro, anything that's pretty much not synth, computer-based. I would say real time instead of computer based. So first things first, you record. You're gonna press that and then you're gonna have your source plugged into either, I'm using an Apollo Twin, so I have my microphone going into my Apollo Twin, and then it's going in through a Thunderbolt cable, and it just syncs up. So that's the good thing about audio interfaces nowadays. They just sync up. You don't got to worry about it. You just plug it in, and for the most part, it's gonna read it. If it doesn't read it or you have a problem, just leave me a comment and I can figure it out for you. Second thing you're gonna do, label your tracks. Always want to label your tracks. Lead. So when you go back, because when you're going here and you have your mixer and you got a bunch of tracks that don't say anything, you know, it's kind of confusing, and eventually you'll have a ton of tracks here as well, and it's just easier to go back and for it to say lead or guitar than, you know, audio 1, audio 2. Right here is your left and right pan. You just click and hold to the left, to the right, and that's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to come on one side or the other. Second thing is your mute. So let's say you're playing, mute, and mutes it. That's pretty self-explanatory. Solo means if you had another track here, you can just solo the part that is being soloed, and then this lead wouldn't play at all. Second thing you're going to want to do is your count-in. Depending on, I would say it's easier to have a count-in than to not have a count-in. So let me give you an example here. If I move this, if you don't have a count-in and you're starting from this right in the beginning, so let's say we put count-in none, and you press record here, and you press record, it immediately starts you off from the first beat. So sometimes you want to come in on that first beat, so having to guess when either the engineer or yourself plays start. If you're playing guitar, there's no way you can press record and then have the guitar in your hands ready to go. It's just not going to happen. So what you'll do, and when you want to delete a track, let's say it was on here, you want to highlight it or click away from the track, highlight it and let go of it, and just hit delete. And it's going to say delete recorded audio from disk, blah, blah, blah. Press OK. That's pretty much like a destructive record. It's going to go away. You're probably never going to find it again, or you won't. So make sure that you really don't need that track. If you need the track, then you can go to Command Z and it will come back. So I guess what I said before didn't make sense, but Command Z will bring it back, and delete will just delete it. And then boom, just press enter instead of scrolling all the way to OK, because you don't want to take that time. That's a waste of time. So let's say, so highlight it, press delete, press enter. Just remember that, because you need to do that quick, because the quicker you can get this done and edit and do all your, you know, little tweaks, the better I think your workflow will get faster, and people will like that. Like if you're trying to be an engineer or a producer, they don't want a slow engineer. They want someone who knows what they're doing. Boom, 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 it's done, let's move on, let's record. Okay, so also, you'll see here my screen, my little, I think they call it the playhead thumb. It's in the middle. So if I want it to go straight to my 1, which would be the 3 right here, yes, you're going to press enter and it's going to take you all the way back to 1, but when you press spacebar, which is play, it will start at 3, as you see right there. So you can either drag it or just press enter and it will take you back to the beginning of your track, or if this is highlighted, as you see, if it's not highlighted, it will play from the beginning. If it's highlighted, it will play from wherever it's highlighted, it will go back and loop. So those are little things that you'll get used to when you're recording more. So now let's go to lead. I think I have my microphones plugged in, yeah. Okay, so back to what I was saying before. Have a count in, at least 1 bar. So when you do, go here and press record. Boom, now it starts on that one. You can play, you can start your guitar track. So that's good for anyone that needs that time to play. And sometimes you'll have music playing before this, so then it's just better. Now you can also go here to metronome settings. If you want the metronome to play, click while recording, then click that. Only during counting, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, then it'll go away. You click that. Or click while it's playing, so even when you're playing or not recording, it will make the click. My opinion, if you're new, start learning how to play to a click track. It's only going to make you a better musician when you get down the line, or if you're producing, so you can get that tempo right, because that's you need your song to be in tempo. You want that groove, and you want to be able to either play slower than the tempo, play faster than the tempo, and that's what's going to help you is with the click track. And if you're a drummer, I think it's essential, because you want your track to play on that beat as as good as it possibly can. Okay, so that's that one. When you are ready to record, press record, and it's going to record your audio. And that's the same thing it's going to do with your guitar tracks or anything. Here is also a look. It's called the inspector. You can take it off, take it on. Most of the times I leave this on, and I leave this on, of course. This is your volume as well. This is your volume up here as well. Right here where it says Audio FX is where all of your plugins are going to be. So that's another tutorial. Pretty much you want to go through, you want to have your EQ, you want to have maybe a reverb, you want a delay, and some sort of compressor. So those are all videos that, can go on forever. Here's your EQ, you press that, your EQ will come up immediately, and then you can play with your frequencies. Your sends are pretty much, if you want to have, let's say you want to have your reverb. Okay, so your send, pretty much what it's doing is through this right here, you can apply the reverb, and pretty much it's on its own separate track. So when you have other tracks, you can just come to send, and you could add that same reverb, as much or as little as you want. Little is more, so just remember that. And that's pretty much all you're going to touch here. Second or third one, now we're going to go to the software instrument. You're going to press create. So what we have here is the software instrument right here. This is pretty much where you can modify it and change the sound. This again is another tutorial that you just got to learn. You just have to pretty much dive in. So you'll want to press record here. You want to make sure this one's off, and you press record. So now it's ready and functioning. If you have a keyboard, you can plug it in, and it should, for the most part, come up and read your MIDI keyboard. If you don't have a MIDI keyboard, what you want to do is press Command K, and your keyboard comes up. As you hear, it makes a sound. Right here is your octave. You want it to sound lower, click it. You want it to sound higher. As you can tell, it's self-explanatory. Pretty much, I don't use any of these. I don't use this. If you want to use it, learn it and get better at it. But there's your key, so you can either use it manually. You can either point with your mouse, or you can just type on the keyboard, and it'll work the same way, okay? So what you're going to want to do is the same deal. Record and play. And it didn't record. Okay, so let's do it again. Record. Okay, so that's a really crappy little bass line, but I'm not trying to make anything right now. So what I would do is when I'm editing my software, and this is another tutorial that I want to maybe go in more, I would highlight it, get the software that I want, not the software, the little MIDI clip, and I want to make sure that it's all in time. So in terms to do that, you can move it, you can click, move it however you like. First thing you're going to want to do here, go to this little, looks like a little settings file, or drop down says snap. So what you want to do is make sure that this says snap notes to absolute value. That is vital, I think, if you want these notes to go on the actual one. Like, let's say this was the one. If you don't have that, it's going to drop it maybe here. It's not going to be precise. I like it to be precise. So if you do snap regions to absolute value, it will drop it pretty much if you when you put it right next to that one. See how, like, right here it's not. So I drop it, I move it, and for the most part, it's going to snap it to that, grid. So that's an important thing to remember when you're working with synths. Also, you can click here, drag it down, drag it up. I like to keep it out of the way. Right here, if you click on your instrument track and press Command D, it will make a duplicate track of the track that you just have. So let's say you like this MIDI file that you made and you want to make another one, but maybe you want to change, you know, you want to put a filter, so you have two of your same tracks playing with the filter. And what you would do is hit Option Alt, hold it, drag it down, and boom, you have another copy. You can also hit Command R, and that will make another copy. But you have to remember, if your audio is, let's say you have a little extra here, it's not going to drop it or no to put it back on this one. So you're going to see you have the space. Now you got to click and drag and hold it if you want it to hit on the actual one. So that's another thing you can do. Another thing as well is if you want to change your sounds. So let's say, okay, I have this open, I press Command key, I have my keyboard. Now how the heck do I change the sound? You can either change it through this little tab, and then you have your different sounds right here. As you see, it's always changing. Now let's say you want to see what this, pretty much what this synth has to offer. You're going to click on this little down arrow tab, and under here it shows you pretty much everything that is available on this synth. Now you can always, they do have on other synths where you can load patches or banks in, but for this one and for most of all the ones in Logic Pro, it's just like that. Now if you want to change this synth, you go to this little up down arrow and click on it, and here are all your synths that are in Logic Pro. So if you click on Alchemy, you click Stereo, it's going to open up. It might take time depending on how fast or how slow your computer is, and boom. This one actually shows you it a little bit more visually, so you can, you know, have leads. I want an analog lead. I want it to sound kind of dubstep-y and distorted, and this is going to give you what they think that it is. And you click on it, you see it loading, and you get a sound. So boom, you can either do it there or you can do it through here. And as you see, there is a ton of sounds that you get in Logic Pro X. So as you see, you have a lot to work with. So it's pretty much how good of an imagination you have to make a song. And this is just one of them. So you have other ones as well. I pretty much use Retro Synth, Alchemy, and I also use my own synths. But you know, that's for later on when you start producing more. Now if you don't want to see this library, I don't, because I think it takes up a lot of space, you click on that. Okay, so now let's get back to this, and what else can I show you for this just a quick little video. Okay, yeah, also the same thing goes for the MIDI. If you want to put another effect in here, it's right here. For the MIDI FX, that's your arpeggiator, chord trigger, all these different ones that you should go through. I would just use arpeggiator mostly. That's how you get kind of like that trance kind of sound, I would say. I could be wrong. So it's, you have to make sure that you click on your track and you put it in there. So also that's another thing. Make sure when you click on your track, it's highlighted to change these inputs. Because if you have it, if you think you're working on your big room track and you're not, I've done it before. I think I click it on here and then I'm actually on here and I'm messing up all these, you know, things that I already put on this track, which would be for this track. So just make sure your track is highlighted. And you would press play. As you see, it's making arpeggiating it. So I don't know if my sound is if I have it high enough for you guys to hear, but you'll see when you're on your own. Also, another thing, if you click on the MIDI, you also get score, which is pretty cool, and you get a step editor. All I pretty much use is piano roll. Now, let's say you want to change and change the volume going from low to high. You click right here on automation, and your automation will show up. If you click here, if you did have other EQs or synths or anything plugin wise, you can pick it up through here, and it will show you. I have the arpeggiator. It will give you pretty much everything that you can manually change, which is nice. So let's just say I want to change the volume. So you can kind of see there's a 0 dB. So you double click, and now you have a line. Now if you double click here, you double click here, anywhere you double click, you can get a little line, so you can change and up your decibels. So I lower it here, and now if you hear it, it goes from low to high, and you can have it, and that's essential for when you're, when you are producing and you're wanting to do intricate little parts, like you want either the reverse cymbal to go up, low to high, or even you want it the other way. You want your snare to snap, and then you want to lower the decay or the reverb. This is where you'll do it, and you'll hit here, automation. Now let's say you want to cut in the middle. You're gonna go here, you're gonna press scissor tool, and you're gonna hit command, and now you can cut. So hold command, and that second, this is pretty much like your left click and your right click. I pretty much leave this one here. I'm not using a mouse, I'm using my laptop. So for me, it's just easy to press command and cut. So that's pretty much what you want to do. So you have quick commands. Also, so you can either mute it, control mute. So hold control and mute. So let's say, maybe you have a different instrument track here, and you want to see how it sounds with these two notes and then this disappearing right here. So it will play your thing, mute it, and not mute it. So that's a good way to do it if you don't want to delete the actual file. Okay, so right here, you can change, it shows the view size, so you can make the tracks really, really big. You can stretch them out so you can kind of see a little bit more of what you're working with. And you can also do that if you have a laptop. You can do that by scrolling your fingers in and out together. So put your fingers together, then spread them apart, and that will change, and you'll get an idea. Oh, last thing I want to mention, let's say we want to fly in, you have a really good drum kick that your friend gave you or that you got online. What you're going to want to do is, let's say all these tracks are taken, tracks, new audio track. So it's highlighted, let's just put drum, or kick drum is what you're going to have. So pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to make sure it's highlighted, you're going to file, you're going to go to import, you're going to go to audio file. So let's say desktop files. I have a song I did with my friend Bree. You're going to open it up, and it's going to drag it into, or not drag it, it's going to upload it into your file, into your session, I mean. So that is how you can bring other sounds into your project. Now you can also bounce the track at the very end. So the last thing, let's say you got a song, so let's say this is your song. Imagine this is like a kick drum and all these different files. We'll put it here, and then you want to bounce this song out so you can listen to it in your car or your other speakers or your phone, whichever you want to do. So what I like to do is I like to do my yellow highlight. So what I do is I just click anywhere, hold, and drag, and I'll drag it to the end of my song, and I'll drag it to the beginning of my song. I just like it that way, so I know exactly what I'm bouncing. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to File, Bounce, Project, or Session. And you saw, I think it was Command B is a quicker way to do it, but for right now, this is the best way, so you kind of get an idea, because you'll see the little icons on the corner of each one that will show you, a shortcut. So pretty much either you're going to do real time or offline. Offline does it quicker, but I just think it might be better if you're doing a final take to do real time. So pretty much if the song is 5 minutes, it's going to take 5 minutes for it to bounce. If it's 2 minutes, 2 minutes. If it's offline bounce, then it's going to go a little bit faster. And also keep the normalize off. You can do research on why, but just keep it off. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna press OK. You're gonna label your track, song, whatever you want to label it, and press bounce, and it's bouncing the song. So it's real audio time. That is, as you can see, it's bouncing and it's real time. So you can listen to the track over, and if you don't like it, like let's say, oh man, I messed up that one part, just hit escape. Boom, now you can, you know, work on anything else. Last thing too, the last thing, save. Save. Command S or come out here and press save. You want to save your file. Nowadays, they do save it like backup, auto backup saves, which is really nice. But for the most part, just learn how to save it, because something might happen where you work on something for a couple hours, or even let's say the autosave is every 5 minutes. What if in between that one little, you know, couple minutes you had a fantastic take and then it went away? You're screwed. And now you gotta do the take again, and that's okay, but what if you had a great take that you could never do again? So save. And lastly, BPM. I think that's the most important thing that I'm gonna end this on, is BPM, tempo. Find that BPM and tempo and put it on here before you do anything, because your editing is going to be that much harder. And just trust me on that. I've done it before. I've tried to do tracks where I didn't have the tempo right and the BPM, and when I came back later to either fix vocals or guitar, it was a nightmare. And I don't want to do that, because you want to save time, you want to move on to the next song. Okay, so that's a little bit of a tutorial on intros to Logic Pro. I really hope that people who watch this, if they have other questions, I'll try to answer them, and I'll try to make other videos in Logic Pro the way I know how to use it. I'm not a professional, but I've been using it for a while. I came from Pro Tools, but I think Logic Pro is great for producing. So go ahead and hit a like or subscribe to my videos if you want to see more, and I hope that you guys have a great week. Bye.